Sterling, Cal B Sector with Defense Daily. This is Sterling Jones. He's the Vice President of Agile Development Group with L3Harris Technologies, and we're here to talk about the Wolfpack. You debuted the Wolfpack family in July. Can you just bring us up to date on what you did up to that point, what you introduced, and maybe what you've done since?
Sure. Great to have you be here with you today, Cal. So the Wolfpack, our Red Wolf and Green Wolf family, are L3Harris's offering for launched effects. When I say launched effects, what that is we're taking whatever effect that the service member would like to provide, that our troops want to provide, and allowing them to extend that effect further out into the battle space. So in the case of our Red Wolf, we're going to extend a lethality further out into the space. For our Green Wolf with an EW capability, instead of having to perform EW on the platform, you're able to extend that range further out into the battlefield, and that keeps our troops further away from harm. So when we debuted this in July, I think that we had said we'd done right around 40 launches. We're at 45 today, so we've continued to launch and fly these platforms, both the Red Wolf and Green Wolf variant, for our various customers.
So on the additional flight tests since then, what have you, new platforms that you've launched from, new expanding the envelope? Can you just go a little bit about that?
Sure. So it's with working with the United States Marine Corps, we have launched this numerous times from the AH-1Z Viper, our Super Cobra platform. We've continued to do that since July, as well as extending on our ground launch capability, being able to this from the ground. And then with the Green Wolf variant, we've actually installed a parachute so that the launch effect is able to return, parachute, be recoverable, refueled, relaunched within 60 minutes. So we've demonstrated that capability as well.
Just the one time? I know you announced that back in July. Have you worked with that parachute capability again? We have worked with that parachute capability since July and demonstrated with multiple platforms that we're able to recover and refurbish and relaunch. So, one of the things that seems to set the Wolfpack apart from some of the legacy loitering munitions is the range. Nautical miles is fairly extensive. Kind of what's the demand signal there around just the range? Of course, I guess range varies depending on who the customer is, but if you could talk about that a little bit.
Sure. We've seen a lot of overlap among the services in terms of what is considered short, medium, and long range. If I were to look at an Air Force customer, they would consider 200 nautical miles to be a relatively short range. I think our Army customer actually classifies this as medium. When I talk to the Marines, they think this is a long-range weapon. It's really about what it is that they're trying to do, right? So when Marines are used to firing Hellfire missiles that are 8-kilometer range, and you've got something that's now in the 350-kilometer range, that is significantly longer than what they're used to for those platforms. But again, with the range that we've got, we really see usability across all services, depending on what that mission is. Just one factor when you're talking about electronic warfare, it's not necessarily about the range. It may be about the time that you can loiter on station. And so fuel translates to either range or loitering. We've demonstrated our ability to loiter and perform missions up to 60 minutes with the Green Wolf platform.
I've seen on your website, two working in tandem, the Red Wolf, your kinetic effector, and then the Green Wolf that you just described, the electronic warfare type of. How do they work together? I'm talking about autonomy these days and collaborative autonomy. What special sauce is L3Harris bringing to make sure this works in contested and denied environments?
Sure. So what we like to say is that our Wolfpack is AI enabled. So we have the hardware that enables the AI capability for doing swarming missions, for doing collaboration. We've demonstrated that. And I think, as most folks know, L3Harris is a leader in communication systems that can operate in degraded environments, what we call line of sight. We have demonstrated both the capability to communicate with each other, demonstrate swarming capability, and as you mentioned, you can have a Green Wolf go out and survey the area, and then identify a target, and have a Red Wolf then come in, get a cueing from that Green Wolf, and then take on the target.
So in the flight testing, 45 of them to date, have you kind of mentioned you've demonstrated some collaboration? I don't know, was that with the Wolfpack?
That is with the Wolfpack, yes. So we've demonstrated the capability to fly multiple of these variants simultaneously to communicate with one another.
One of the interesting things, too, that you announced in July was that you actually have a customer and you are in low-rate initial production for this. And as I recall, by the end of this year, you're going to be having dozens. If you can just, how are you going along on that LRIP at the moment, and what comes next for that particular customer?
Sure. So what we like to say is we have a hot production line. We're producing these, they're coming off, we're delivering to the customers. I will say that our customers and their missions and their quantities are sensitive, so I won't go into specifics about that. But as you look at what the services are asking for in terms of quantities of munitions or of quantities of launched effects, you're seeing RFIs and RFPs that come out that say they're looking for 500 or 1,000 a year. That kind of to be the sweet spot. And at a price point that we're right in the sweet spot of kind of $300,000 for a munition, $500,000 for an EW, kind of round numbers, but at our production rates and our costs, we're right within that sweet spot.
Well, and I guess on the EW variant, if it's recoverable, you extend the cost per unit, so to speak, by bringing it back.
Yeah, and I put that number out as a round number. There's absolutely more exquisite EW solutions out there that can be hosted within this very modular. The nose cone of this allows it to swap out different payloads, but that's kind of at the range and the price point that we're targeting. That's the mission we're looking at.
Yeah, modular open systems approach here. Let's on the Red Wolf, the kinetic version. Assume that modularity extends to the warhead as well. What are the kind of targets that you can go after at those ranges with Red Wolf?
So the Red Wolf that we've designed today has been targeted at primarily a counter-maritime mission. That's really because of our collaboration with the Navy and the Marine Corps and how they plan to employ that. It really comes down to what it can do from a seeker perspective. We've integrated an IR seeker. No reason why you couldn't continue to do future spirals into an RF seeker. Then you talk about modularity. Nose cone, as long as it allows the transmissibility of whatever it is, you could absolutely do an ISR payload. You could employ a decoy, again with some sort of EW payload as well.
You have a hot production line. About maybe the overall demand here signal, and if it's crystallized yet, or if there's still more to come. Again, a long range effector here. Seeing a lot in terms of contracts around that. So yeah, where is the demand signal now and the opportunity set just in the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, we see significant growth in this arena. I would be remiss if I tried to quote a number in terms of what the growth rate was for this, but from quantities, again, we're talking, we're seeing sort of like that 1,000 a year is where we want to be. And on our EW side of the house, just see a significant opportunity there as well.
Yeah, and just to start to wrap up, question was sort of baking in the domestic element. What about international interest?
Yeah, for release in July, we've seen international interest in this. Well, we've been in discussions about the exportability. There's nothing within this design that would prevent it from being exportable. So we look forward to working with customers and the allies to go ahead and get this into the hands of anyone that would benefit.
I assume you can also integrate third-party international?
Absolutely. We have integrated, I would want to say, 8 to 12 different radios and payloads within the various vehicles in the 10 plus years that we've been developing this product.
All right. Last thing, the website teases additions to the Wolfpack family to come. Can you let on where you stand as far as that and when you might be announcing something new here?
Sure. I think it's one that I mentioned earlier. We see interest in that. But the one that I think is probably the shortest putt for us and the easiest one to get to would be a decoy. Right, so instead of performing an EW mission where you're out looking for something, performing that EW capability where you're pretending that you're something else, one of the things that you want to do is, let's say we go ahead and put these into a fight. It looks like it's maybe a manned fighter jet. Well, then our adversary is going to have to pay attention to that. They're going to have to fire a missile, ideally, to go ahead and try and take that out. And so what that does is that reduces their ability to then shoot at manned platforms, again, to take the warfighter away from harm.
You see that a lot in Ukraine with the Russians firing a lot, a combination of Shahed drones and Kinzhal or other ballistic missiles and decoys. You would think the decoy cost is going to be even lower than the others. Is that the case? Just giving the customer more options to confuse the enemy, but even at a lower price point?
Yeah, I think when I think about the cost of an EW payload versus a decoy payload, again, they could both be called EW, but you would expect that the decoy would be simpler, right? And as a result, lower cost. Again, if we know it's a one-way mission, we definitely want to get it down to that lower price point.
Very good. Sterling, thank you very much.
Cal, appreciate it.